Welcome back, friends, to another reading for the collective. I believe this is the first reading on the other side of the spring equinox. So happy spring to all of you for showing up here. I post these every Tuesday and Thursdays, but the messages are timeless, and I'm glad that you're here because something might be here for you. Before I was tuning in, the tune. I think it's called Daybreak. It was used in the show Community. I'll link it below. Maybe I could even link it here. That might be relevant for someone. The show Community might be relevant for someone. We'll see if there's any ideas about Community that come in from the cards today. But let's get into it. You know how we like to begin. If there's something that you would like some deeper insight into or guidance on, I invite you to hold that in your mind or in your heart or wherever it feels most active and up for you while we take 3 conscious breaths, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. And so, breathing in and out. Go ahead and make a little sound as you do that exhale. Breathing in, out. Last time, breathing in. And out. Whew. Energy is ready to move, so let's see what the cards have to say. And like I like to say, I don't offer these as fortune telling gimmicks or anything like that. I like to say, you want to come out. I like to say that these are just alternative, and you want to come out, alternative ways of looking at things. So if you found yourself here, then I'm glad you're here. Like I said, I post these every Tuesday and Thursday. And is okay, there we go. So, mm, yeah, I feel like there's always this idea of mm, before and after what you're seeing versus what you're not seeing, the above, the below, the conscious, the unconscious. But let me just sit with these for a second here and see if there's any other clear insight that wants to come through about how to read these before we flip them. No, we're just going to go take them as we come. So maybe this is, yeah, let's just see what we've got here. Knight of Cups reversed. When we see reversals, we can think of them as blocks or as the exact opposite. The Knight of Cups, when it's upright, it isn't the strongest knight. Knights are all about action and that yang energy. If this were the Knight of Swords or the Knight of Wands, there would be more of that impetus to go forward. The Knight of Cups, though, is not as comfortable with the emotionality of the cups. And we can even see that here. The water is not flowing, it's just this little river. With it reversed, though, we can kind of see this as that water opening up. So maybe you're someone who has been doing all the work, because I know you have, and is now in a position where they are able to make use of those emotions, not in any kind of transactional way, but more of an understanding kind of way. I like to think of the knights. This knight's getting dizzy from all the times I'm spinning him around. I like to think of the knights as the disciples of the suit, the person who's going to do whatever it takes to bring whatever the element is into existence. And with the Knight of Cups, that is those emotions, whether they are pleasant or unpleasant. They're all part of the makeup of us. And with this reverse, it seems like it's more of a go ahead than a slow down. But we'll see what the other cards have to say. Yeah, make that leap. The Fool, a lot of folks' favorite cards, including mine. Knight of Cups, too, is a good one. And the Fool has the 0 here at the top, so it can go anywhere in the major arcana. And it's speaking to this idea of making the leap, jumping into the unknown. And yeah, there's this childlike, not childish, but childlike quality with this card of just giving it your all and really loving that. Not even so much as loving what you're doing, although I'm sure that you do, but this idea about just the act of creation, the act of jumping, the act of trying something new, the act of learning more about your emotions is exciting, and you bring a childlike wonder to that. So, chapeau to you as well. The 0 at the top here also kind of suggesting. Sorry, I just noticed this has gone out again, and we can't have that. The circle is this idea of the void or the wellspring from which all things flow. And that is what we have access to when we embody that Fool energy. It gives us the permission to tap in to all of the wonder that is waiting below the surface, all of the wonder that is waiting for us to leap off this ledge. And here we have someone else, the 2 of Wands, someone else who is on a ledge looking out, but it's very different energy here. There's movement with the Fool that is replaced with stasis here, kind of like the stasisness of the Knight of Cups here. Although I shouldn't say it's not as the Knight of Cups isn't as solid as the Knight of Pentacles, but there is a lack of movement, like we referenced with the water not being as flowing as it is in the other court cards. 2 of Wands, and it's interesting that these were kind of in these pairs, and we've got the 2 here. Wands represent fire, and they are all about creation. And here we have a character who is surveying what we could say is their creation and holding a globe in their hand. And it's this idea of boredom. They have conquered the world, so what's left? They literally hold the world in their hand. So what else is there? Well, it's the internal. It's the vast landscape within. And there's no real support in society to explore that internal landscape. Everything in society is set up to distract us. Or here, if you're lonely, buy this. If you're hungry, buy this. If you need something, look outside of yourself. And that's exactly what this character is doing. They're standing in a turret. It could be the top of their castle, their material realm. And even the world the world here is a representation. It's the whole idea of the map is not the territory. So they may have conquered the world. You may have made a lot of progress in the material realm, but maybe the interior is still unexplored. So now looking at this almost all the way through, we can think of this as, which I think I already said, the internal versus the external. And it's this idea, the Seven of Swords, of leaving something behind, and with it coming with the two of what are these called? Wands. I need to eat. Two of Wands. It's that idea of leaving behind the ideas that you had about what success means. And it doesn't mean you leave them all, or you take all the ideas with you. Where are we? You're not necessarily taking them all. You're leaving some behind. Hang on, I'm just sitting with something here for a second. Oh. Yeah. Two of Wands and two swords left behind. Two represents duality, the yin and the yang, the inner, the outer, but also relationships, and not just romantic relationships, any kind of partnerships, whether they be business or housemate, roommates, co-workers, anything like that. Yeah, I apologize. Something about this is really hitting or really trying to take me out. Let me just recenter here for a second. You have the go ahead to begin exploring the inner landscape. It doesn't mean that everything is going to get left behind or that you have to carry all of the material world with you, all of the thoughts that you have about what it means to be successful in the material world. And I'm pretty sure this was the message that came up in the last reading, so I must be tapped into the same kind of collective energy there. This is the invitation to go within, to make that leap, and not even look behind you. Be as concerned as you need to be, but the idea that you'll never really leave behind something that is meant to travel with you. You can't lose what is always yours. I think that's enough for that. We'll see if we can get Hafiz to wrap this up for us. Because I'm getting spacey. I might need to eat. Okay, thank you, Hafiz. Practice tenderness. 32 turns into 5, which 7 minus 2 is 5. Not that that matters. 32. Tenderness is what I am when my heart governs, and I realize how much so many in this world have suffered. It is in your best interest to be very tender with yourself and with all of life. Vulnerability doesn't keep us safe, but it does keep us open. And an open heart is one of the strongest, most powerful tools in the world. Cultivate a practice of self compassion and tenderness toward all of life in order to become more like the friend who created you. Hafiz had a great way of looking at the divine, at the creator, not as a lord, not as a father, not as this hierarchical person above you, but as a beloved friend. And that has been something that I've been tapping into a lot more consciously the last couple weeks, and it has made all of the difference. That is something that I want to luxuriate in, that friendship of the beloved. And I mean, as always, when we are traveling from the inner world to the outer world, or recontextualizing how we want to show up in the outer world when we explore more of our inner world, always practice tenderness. Always keep that with you. And understand that other folks might not be doing the same kind of exploration. And that is the message of the fool here. You're foolish enough to want to walk away from all of the material stuff. You're foolish enough to seek something more: emotions, insight, psychic gifts, whatever you have. And like I said, society doesn't really encourage that. So, as you do this exploration, as you descend into the underworld of your unconscious and your emotions, and return with those boons, so to speak, society might not see the worth or the value in that or in you. And if that is the case, I am sorry, but also you're part now of a long lineage of folks who have been ridiculed and misunderstood for learning more about that which is within. And so, above all else, practice tenderness with yourself and with your fellow human beings here on this planet. And that feels complete, so I'll leave it at that. And I want to thank you for joining me today. I post these every Tuesday and Thursday. And until next time, I wish you nothing but peace, love, and happiness from this day forward. Do the sharing, do the liking, do all the YouTube stuff, and I'll see you back here next time. Take care.